When did you start playing hockey, and what made you want to play goalie?
I mean, that's a great question. I mean, kind of from as soon as I remember, or last that I remember, my dad played hockey and my grandma played hockey. My grandma was actually like the learn to skate person in my town, and that like kind of got me into hockey. Like I like to say I could skate before I could walk type of thing, but goalie kind of followed suit. My grandma was a goalie, but my dad was a defenseman. He didn't really like me choosing goalie that much because, pretty expensive, too much stress, blah, blah, blah. But my grandma loved it, followed her craft, and, I know she's proud of me watching the game, so.
Absolutely. Growing up in Port Huron, Michigan, did you always want to end up playing hockey in Canada, or is that kind of just where you ended up?
I mean, it was always really close. I always got to see the Sarnia Sting growing up in the OHL. They were right there. I live kind of like right on a border town, so I always jumped across, even as like a little kid, and I had hockey tournaments over there when I was just playing, for my hometown team and stuff like that. And when the opportunity came, I had to make the choice to stay in the States or jump to Canada. Did I think that I'd be in Canada this long playing hockey? Maybe not really, but I'm enjoying it. So
absolutely. You played 63 games in the OHL, even winning the Player of the Week. What was the CHL experience kind of like, and could you walk us through the day-to-day of a major junior league player?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was unbelievable experience. There's a big kind of player gap that they choose from between, European players and anywhere in the U.S. and all across, the world to bring players to play. And I was fortunate enough to play, alongside some big names like Nick Suzuki, Sean Dursey, all those guys play in the NHL currently. So, I mean, having them as my teammates got to, for sure, push my playing level, playing experience. I got to take what those guys taught me and teach to these guys too. And I mean, I kind of really thought it was a big step, moving forward. It kind of showed how big hockey can be and where you can go from there, and I was lucky to be able to be a part of it for as long as I did before unfortunately COVID kind of shut everything down for a while. So
absolutely. After playing for Brock University for a season, what made you choose the SAIT Trojans to continue your goaltending career?
Surprisingly enough, everybody checks their DM box one day, and I saw a DM from our head scout, and he said, "Hey, have you ever, thought about playing hockey out in Calgary?" And I said, "Hockey out in Calgary? That sounds fun." So I kind of called who I had to call, talked to who I had to talk to, and in a matter of a week and a half, I was car packed and heading out to Calgary, and I couldn't have been more happy to find the school that I did. I kind of love it out here. The team, the coaches, the school is a great place too. I kind of like the smaller type of, SAIT's all on one block. I don't have to get in my car and drive somewhere just to go to a different class, right? So I love it through and through out here. It's why I've stuck out here for the past 3 years.
Absolutely, and that kind of leads me into my next question, which is, you're currently underway your third season with the Trojans, which has been your longest stretch with a single team, at least on elite prospects. What's been your overall experience kind of playing for the Trojans, and do you have any standout memories so far?
I mean, the biggest thing for me is kind of trust, and it's a big thing that I trust, these guys, they trust me, and it's fun at the same time. And on all those different, I can't say it about, particular teams, but there were times where, it wasn't the best time being around, or there hasn't been many times out here at SAIT where I've thought, wow, I could be somewhere else. I've through and through wanted to be here. I've loved it since day one, was welcomed in. They needed somebody, and, I came in, they welcomed with open arms, and I just, love it out here, honestly. If I could play more, I could play more, but the eligibility runs out at some point.
Can you run us through what your pre-game routines and warm-ups look like on a game day?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, from the beginning of the day, I wake up. If I have school, I have to get up, 8 o'clock, get to my 10 o'clock class. But on Saturdays, usually, right now it's home games, so I'll be here. I'll wake up at a decent time. I actually have a dog that I brought out with me out here at school, so I got to go take him for his morning walk because I'll be out for the late night game type of thing. But wake up, make a good breakfast, a couple eggs, bacon if I have it, right? Go from there. Hopefully, I don't have any schoolwork to do on the game day. I usually try and get it done either when I'm not going to be the goalie playing, or hate to save it till Sunday and procrastinate till the last day, but that might happen more often than not. But from there, I try not to have too big of a lunch to be able to have a good pregame meal. I try and take a nap after I eat my meal, so I try and eat kind of like 2, kind of like 3 o'clock-ish. That way, take a nap, make sure I get to the rink by 7 o'clock game. I want to be to the rink kind of like 5:15, get prepared. We have team meetings at like 5:30. So you want to be here. I don't want to be the last one scrambling into the room, right? Want to be here, be prepared. And then from there, we just play as a team and go from there. Hopefully my teammates kind of have the same preparation as I do. I know we have like road trips and stuff. We all get together. We all have the same pregame meal. We all get on the bus, and it's a nice team bonding thing to sit down with 20 guys and share a meal, right?
Absolutely. Earlier this season, you took about a week-long break and joined the ECHL's Utah Grizzlies training camp. What was that kind of whole experience like regarding kind of like the traveling and having a place to stay, and how are the practices kind of like to you?
Yeah, that was a great time. It was an opportunity that kind of came up where they needed somebody out at camp. They didn't know, they kind of had an open spot, so it's an opportunity to move forward, and that's all anyone here would want me to do. And coaches and everybody were so supportive, so I went down, gave it my all for everybody. And it was about a 12-hour drive to Salt Lake City, and when I got there, it was once I got there, everything was kind of taken care of, paid for. I was put up in an apartment. We had team meals throughout the week of that camp. It was a nice experience, very professional. It felt like I was back in my OHL type of days, right? It wasn't very often I had, somebody offering to hang up my gear for me, and I said, whoa, I can put my own gear away, that's okay. But, it was great. I actually ran into a couple teammates I knew. It was Adam Berg from Brock and Avery Winslow from the OHL. Like, they were both playing there. They were signed, so I did have some familiar faces that I saw, and I didn't seem like a stranger, right? I got welcomed in. Those guys were great. It was a very solid group of guys. They were there from last year, and welcomed anybody that was new. There was really only 4 people who were there trying out that would have been like new guys to anybody. So they welcomed us all in. We all did team activities and stuff. So it was a great time. Felt very professional, but I got to take those things that I learned. I went there with open ears and a small mouth. I went and took everything, learned a lot, and trying to bring it back here and push these guys now on my team that this is a possibility. We have a chance to play pro after playing SAIT, so keep pushing.
Absolutely. Hockey goalies are considered one of the toughest positions across all of sports. What makes it such a challenging position to play, in your opinion?
I'd say our bodies get pretty beat up out there. It's a very grueling task if you're definitely playing multiple games in the week. Once you get to that higher level, you see the age range start falling off. Not many people can do it. They start getting injuries, and I'd say also with the level that we play at, when you're 10 years old, well, the best 10-year-old shot seems very fast, and when you're 25, 26 years old, the top shots here are unbelievably fast, and you have to, unless you can't progress with these shots when these guys are getting stronger, you might not be able to play. You have to be able to be at the top of your game nonstop. You're just like one of those players, right? If you're not performing, somebody else is there to take your spot, and it's as easy as one bad game. So you have to be on your game all the time. I'd say for the past 3 years that I've been at SAIT, I haven't really taken a day off, because it's, you take a day off, that's the day somebody else is getting better. So, we want to be the best team possible, and I want to help this team win as much as I can.
Absolutely. I guess kind of touching on the question I asked earlier, what has been the standout kind of moment in your career so far, or like a few highlights if you don't mind?
Yeah, I mean, touching on with some of those guys I played with beforehand that, are playing pro, I get to look up at the TV or see all their accomplishments, and it's like, that's awesome. I could text them and they would answer, great guys type of thing. But, here at SAIT, you see those group of guys that I've been with since my first year, and we've grown and we've built, what we have now all together. And I'd say just the cool trips that we get to all take together. Might have been my first year. We went to Nanaimo. We took planes and went over the mountains. Smallest plane I've ever been on in my life. Please don't let me do that again. But it was a cool trip. Everybody got to, experience something different, try something new, been places they've never been, right? If SAIT would have never reached out, I probably would have never came to the west coast of Canada, seen the mountains. Like I don't have mountains at home, so I'd say just the full-blown coming out here and what it's given me and what I am trying to give back is probably like the best memory so far.
Absolutely awesome. What advice would you give to young goaltenders or players kind of wanting to play goalie at a high level like yourself?
I mean, it's all about having fun, right? Don't be discouraged. The game's fun. It's just a game. There's really no money behind it. There's no cash prize at the end of the day. It's all, you're going to be with your team. As a goalie, things weigh on your shoulders a little bit heavy, right? You win the game or you lose the game. Well, I could have done better. Well, from what my grandma told me back when I was a kid and I'd come back crying after a loss, she goes, there's 5 other guys that are on that team on the ice. You can't put it all on yourself. You can't score the goals. So, I mean, even for players too, have fun. It's a team game. There's nothing to lose, right? Just go play hockey. We're lucky to be able to play hockey and do the fun things that we can do. So sometimes we have our tough games, right? I've had my fair share of tough games, but I find the happy places and the big saves that I make to, keep me pushing forward through the next, game, the next shot, right?
Absolutely. And then last one, it's kind of not really a question, but if there's any kind of like closing statements you wanted to make, or if there's anything specific you wanted to talk about, kind of just give you the floor.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the chance to kind of like tell my story. It's only been kind of a thing I've been able to do to like goalie, young goalies and goalie clinics and stuff like that when we do classrooms and they say, where did you play? Where are you gonna go? Are you really that good, coach? So when I get to tell them this and all the different things, but then to be able to kind of explain it like this and go into detail and everyday life type of thing, no one's really ever asked me that. So I appreciate those type of questions and digging in deep. And it was really fun. Throughout practice today, having my video, I might. It's a cool experience that I wouldn't have gotten to do unless I was at that high level, and you guys presented it to me here, and I hope the class enjoys this video. Wish they could enjoy practice too.
Absolutely, and that's a wrap on that.
Thanks,
one.
guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.